Hello and welcome to For Truck's Sake, the Road and Load podcast all about lorry and truck driving. Today, we're talking about the important bit. You might be thinking, right, okay, I want to be an HGV driver, but most importantly, what kind of Wonga am I looking at? Yeah? How much cash am I going to have in my back pocket? That is the big question today. Here, of course, as always, with Louise and Beth. How you doing, Louise?
I'm good, thank you. Not too bad. I've got a little bit of a cold, though, not going to lie. I can feel the illness creeping up. I'm like, it's coming for me. Do you know what I mean?
But it's giving you that husky kind of like,
Yeah.
It's not just chocolate, it's M&S chocolate.
I know. I need to audition quick, don't I? I need to get on it quick.
And how you doing, Beth?
I'm good. Do you know what? Much the same as Louise, to be honest. There's something tickling in my nostrils. I tell you what, though.
I love that. That's the best description ever.
Whatever gets you through the day.
It reminds me, are you guys Friends fans? This is a bit off topic, but you know that Friends when Phoebe gets a cold and then she does all the singing. I always think about that.
Yeah, when she gets the sexy voice, or when I like the episode in particular where Monica gets sick but won't admit she's sick.
Oh yeah,
and then so to prove she's not sick, she seduces Chandler.
So good.
There's no situation in life which can't be related back to Friends. But we are talking about jobs. Louise, what was your first job?
My first job was in a retail store, and
are we allowed to mention it?
Yeah,
was the court case still ongoing?
I think so. It is. Yes, I used to work. I used to work in New Look.
Nice.
And I used to get the good thing about working in a retail store, right? They do like a nice discount. And actually, when I worked in New Look, you do get 50% off clothes. So the thing is, I felt like everything I was earning, I was then spending it on clothes because I was like, look, I could get away for twice as much because it's 50% off. So that's logic. But it was, it got me through, but it was not my favorite thing in the world.
What did you get paid? If that's not too personal.
No, not at all. Not at all. To be honest, I'm trying to remember how much it was, but it was definitely towards like the 23k, if that kind of mark. Like it was very kind of low. Like it wasn't, it was like minimum wage vibes. And it was just to keep me going, like especially during like uni and stuff, because I went straight to uni after like being at home and stuff. So yeah, it was kind of getting me through. But yeah, it was all right.
I think I can beat that. So my first ever job, I used to work in the BHS home and lighting department.
Oh yeah.
Ask your parents, kids, because BHS no longer exists.
I know. R.I.P. BHS.
You're showing your age, Joe.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is an era that predates smartphones, social media. It was in black and white. And I used to work in the BHS home and lighting department. They paid me £4.53 an hour. So after a 12-hour shift, which I would do on a Saturday, so I used to come back from the club and then like go home, shower, change.
Joe on tour.
And go straight to work. And this is a long, we're talking 19 years ago. Oh. So like a very, very long time. I don't have that kind of energy anymore. But I could do a 12-hour shift and after tax make less than £40. So that was, and they called us all. They called us into their staff room one day, and they're like, "Guys, we've got very exciting news. You're all getting a pay rise." So we're like, "Yes, at last, we've earned this pay rise," and it went up to £4.61 an hour. So after your Saturday shift 60p. After tax, it was literally 70p after tax extra on a Saturday.
Literally. And it's just grueling as well. Like I feel like when you work in that kind of job, it's the same thing over and over again as well. Like I don't feel like you do anything different. It's just you kind of like you go in, you stack stuff, you put stuff on the shelf and all that, and you're like bored.
Well, I used to sleep on the beanbags in the storeroom.
Did you?
And my mate, right? This is my mate. He was working at John Lewis at the time. And so we used to meet up on our lunch breaks and say, "Oh, how's work? Yes, rubbish. Oh, how's work?" But he used to, I thought this was genius, right? He used to go into the toilets, go into a cubicle, pull his trousers and pants down, sit on the toilet and have a nap. and his
But with his
logic.
trousers and pants down, why?
So his logic was, if anyone was like, "Where's Rob?" they'd come look under the door, and think, "Oh, he's on the loo." But he was having a sleep.
That's smart, actually.
That is smart. But imagine if he like forgot to lock the door though, and then they burst in. They were like, "Oh, sorry," and he's just.
Or if they knock, right, and he doesn't answer because he's asleep,
Yeah.
and then he's got to jump up with his trousers and pants around his ankle.
Disaster.
Sorry, Gary, I'll be back. Yeah. Beth, what was your first job?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I can actually it's not a competition, guys, but I can beat you on the prize with how low it was, so it's not a good competition to win. But I went straight into being an apprentice, doing hairdressing.
Oh, wow.
And at that time I was paid $2.65 an hour. That's what I got paid.
$2.65?
How old were you?
What?
I just left school, so I was 16.
Is that doesn't
That's
feel
not even minimum wage. There was different. What?
Nowhere near minimum wage. I'm not that old, like back in my day. Like,
a penance.
Yeah, in my day, Beth, that was a bloody good wage. I'll tell you.
That's crazy.
But I put up with it because I was like, well, it was better than going to college and not earning anything at all. Like, I was learning on the job. So that's why I sort of stuck it out. I was like, I could be at college learning this and earning nothing, but at least I'm still earning something whilst, learning. Yeah, so I was like, oh, it will do, but it was slave labour.
Is that your worst job, Beth, or have you done worse?
Yeah, do you know what? It was the first thing I'd done. As soon as I left school, I knew I wanted to do hairdressing. So that was it. That was like sort of went straight in. I'd say it's the best, well, one of the only jobs I've had. I'll tell you, actually, the worst job I've had is being an extra.
Oh, yeah, I've done that. It's a lot of waiting around, isn't it? And then you go on for 2 seconds and then you're off again. And it's like 7 p.m. You've been there since 6 a.m.
You get treated like a human prop.
Literally, a human prop. Literally, you're like, waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Why was being an extra bad?
Oh, it's just like the money you get and for what you have to do, it is just not fair at all. And they do, like you said, they treat you like a human prop. You're just sitting, waiting around, and then all of a sudden it's a mad rush. You're expected to be there yesterday, and they've not even told you what you're doing. Yeah. And they don't treat you that well. It's not. I've done a few. It's not bad for all of them, but it's not something I'll be doing again.
And Louise, obviously, like when you're a presenter, you do lots of weird jobs, kind of as you climb that grueling ladder. What's the worst job you've done?
The worst job I've done. I've done some bizarre like little things like online that just they don't really go anywhere, and I just feel like, you know, like the first kind of ones you do, you're like, oh yeah, I'll just do it, and you do it for like really cheap, and then like you talk to somebody about what you should have got paid for something like that, and they've taken you on because you said you'll do it for like 50 quid or something, and you're like, oh my god, I'm getting paid. But when you're like starting out as a presenter, doing like a random script or something and a job, and you're like, oh, I'm getting paid, that's like my way in. But it's like, you know, it was like a long day, and I remember it was like, I think we started at like 9 and ended at like, I don't know, 7 p.m. and I was like, if that was now, it would not be a 50 quid jobby, that one. But yeah, so yeah, like it's just random little stuff for like when I first started out. But it was when I was sort of like, I think I first started when I was like, when I first started to get paid in presenting was like 23, I think it was. So yeah, so then I remember just doing like anything I could, but it wasn't fab.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it's like you start off and you're kind of all like starry-eyed, and obviously you think like your life's going to be a movie. So you're like, yeah, I'll just do this one job, and like they've told me they can't pay me and I have to pay my own travel, and it's really good for exposure.
Yes, the exposure line.
But like, do you know what? In like 2 or 3 weeks after this comes out, like I expect Simon Cowell will call and ask me to replace Dermot on the X Factor.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it'll go viral. It's fine. It'll go viral. It'll be all right. Yeah. The exposure will pay off. It'll pay for my dinner eventually. So you're
like literally, you're like, I'll win a BAFTA within a year. I'll be in rehab within 2. It'll be sweet. Like just don't worry. And it doesn't really work like that. I signed with an agent right, in inverted commas, when I was like 23, 24. And like kind of everybody, you think, because obviously you've seen it in the films, of getting an agent is the next thing that's coming is, yeah, you're going to be hosting the Oscars or whatever, right?
Everything.
And it's basically just some bloke with a mobile phone. Yes, that's all he is. It's basically Ricky Gervais's agent from Extras, except not as charming. And yeah, he called me up and he was like, "So Joe, I've got a gig for you." I was like, "Yeah, hit me." And he's like, "Yeah, you'll be hosting a show at Wembley." And I was like, "Yeah." And I was kind of at that age, I was like, "Well, obviously they're going to call me, because why wouldn't they?" Like, yeah, I've never done anything that anybody's ever seen or heard, and I'm rubbish, but obviously they'll give me a bell. Like, when there's a show at Wembley, he's like, "It's 20,000 people. It's for a big race for Dulux. Have you heard of the Dulux Colour Run?"
Yeah.
So it's basically where people run like 10K and throw paint on each other.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, you're going to be the host for that. It's £100, no travel." So I was just like, "Sweet, fine." Didn't think, that's weird, hosting a show at Wembley should probably be more than 100 quid. I'm pretty sure pay my travel, shouldn't they, as well? And I was like, "So what am I doing?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. Just go there on the day and ask for Nicola." So I was like, cool. Yeah, fine. Whatever. Yeah. So like got there, like turned up. I was like bowling along. I was like, all these people are going to know who I am in about half an hour. Like literally thought I was like the man. Found the bit where the crew were backstage. And I was like, I'm looking for Nicola. And they were like, "Oh, she's around the back of the transit." So I went around the back of the transit van and there was a woman unloading crates out of this transit van. I was like, "You Nicola?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm the presenter." And she was like, "Oh, your costume's in the van." And I was like, no, I'm the presenter.
No.
And she was like, "Yeah, your costume's in the van." So basically, long story short, I had to dress up in little white jumpsuit with yellow overalls and a little yellow hat. And there was 20,000 people about to do this colour run. Like, and basically they all gathered outside Wembley Stadium before, like 20 minutes before the run. And my job was to go up on a little plinth where they gave me like a roller and paintbrushes of various sizes. The Dulux dog was on a stage next to me. They played some music and I had to make up a dance routine to warm up the 20,000 people. So I was just like, paint the wall.
Oh my
God. Skirting board. Oh, you missed a bit.
Joe, you need to get this on TikTok. This needs to be a TikTok dance. Why is this not happening? It needs to be a thing. And
you know, when you leave afterwards, and I walked home and like I was just like, I walked back to the tube and I was like, why have I done this with my life? I didn't have to do this. And then I got on the tube and like these three girls covered in paint, obviously been on the run, ran for it. And they all sat down chatting and they looked around, they're like, it's the dancing guy. I was like, sick.
Never again.
At least they did remember you.
Do you know what, Beth? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, there you go.
But so that's a sad insight to my life.
You know what? I got all of it. Was all worth it for my extra roles because there's a very, very clear shot of me on EastEnders. I'm just going to put that out there.
That's it. That's all you need, Beth, is that one shot, and you're in it. So
I'm in it. You're in it. At this face, smiling.
Smashed it.
You've got to really insinuate yourself into it though, because obviously they film quite a lot during. So just in the background over Ian Beale's shoulder, just be like. It's like, who's that weird extra winking at the camera?
So many people text me like, "Oh my god, I just seen you on EastEnders," but I'm really happy. They don't do that in EastEnders. You're supposed to be upset and miserable. I'm just smiling in the back and I'm like,
the market still buys the bananas.
Oh, so funny.
So Beth, you're a freelancer. Obviously, we all are here. What do you think that we're going to get onto? By the way, talking about truck driving in a minute. We're kind of talking about our work experience, where we kind of bring it back to you guys, what you might do. But Beth, you're a freelancer. What do you think the pros and cons of being freelancer?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely are a good amount of pros and cons. Like for me, the biggest pro is having the flexibility to actually choose my own hours. If there is something else that I think, I need to do that at this time, or I've got this going on or that going on, at least I can say to myself, well, you can have that day off. In fact, me. Do you know what I mean?
Pat on the
Cheers,
back.
Beth. That's okay, Beth.
You're your own HR. You're your line manager. It's great, isn't it?
Beth, you're absolutely smashing it today. Cheers, Beth.
Yeah.
I do that to myself sometimes.
You've got to.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you're not getting paid. Any time you take off, that you're not obviously getting paid for it, are you? And I'd say that's one of the biggest cons to it, that it is as simple as if you're working, you're earning money. And if you're not, you're not. And that is it, isn't it? A lot of people say, oh, but you give yourself loads of holidays and loads of time off. It's like, no, I actually probably have less time off than everyone else that's employed, I'd say, yeah.
And Louise, is that the worst bit, that you're never really able to switch off, are you? Because even if you're on holiday, you're checking your phone and be like, oh man, that job came in, I could have done that. Maybe I can move stuff around next week and they'll be flexible. Like it's a bit, it can be quite stressful like that.
It can, yeah. It is really like shifting yourself around. And I mean, I went on holiday this year to Ibiza, and I went for like 5 days. And I was like, as I was getting up to the time when I was going to Ibiza, I was like thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what if a job comes through? What if something comes through? And like, I'm gonna have to cancel this holiday, and I'm going with one of my best friends, and I'm gonna be like, you have to go on your own. Sorry, bye. And it's a lot of pressure, and you have to think sometimes, you know, how to shift your time around. And sometimes, I don't know if it's happened to you guys as well, like when you've been in a situation where you've been offered a job and then something bigger does come in and you're like, this is really difficult because I have committed to this job, but I'm going to get paid a lot more. And this one is going to benefit me a lot more. Yeah. How do I kind of either keep this one and move it, or because you just can't turn the other opportunity down? And it's kind of like, you have to kind of like weigh things up in your head a lot. And like you said, switching off is so difficult. Like, you know, you can't, I mean, even social media, you can't really come off social media because you've got to like constantly be on it. And even jobs come through via Instagram sometimes as well, and people pass things around, and you know, when you start to network. So yeah, I mean, I come home and I stream on Twitch, so sometimes I've had a really long day presenting, but I'm like, but I've got to do that, because if I don't do that, someone else is going to do it, and I need to keep doing it and keep building my followers. And there's a lot of pressure that I feel sits on your shoulders sometimes, and it's probably more than it actually is, but for you it feels like the world's kind of there constantly.
And I think, yeah, it's kind of, you get that thing where you're like, you go on holiday. So I went on holiday this year for a week, and it's the first time I've been away for longer than a long weekend for, I'd say 5 or 6 years. Like I would do 2 or 3 days at a time, like 5 or 6 times a year, but I'd never do a week away. Certainly never a fortnight away. That doesn't compute in my brain. And it's kind of, I've only just got used to the idea of like, you need to have a life too. Yeah. But like, and you kind of have that thing, you get an email, you'd be in a sun lounger, and it'd be like, oh, such and such wants to put me in for 3 days, but I can't do this day because I'm on holiday. Well, that's my career ruined. And obviously somebody else is going to go and get that job, and I'll never get it again. And what's the point?
Yeah, no, you do. Yeah, you self-deprecate. You go down this like spiral, don't you? And then and everything, you start thinking about everything as well. And it's just, yeah.
That's true. But to be fair, that's why hairdressing was good for me for a long time. But then I was feeling all those pressures that you guys are talking about, and I felt like I wanted to change that up a little bit. And that's when I entered into more of the online realm, and to see what that has to offer. And, you know, it's amazing actually how much of a difference that both career paths have. Because like in the summer, I was able to go away for 2 weeks on my motorbike, do a tour all around Europe, and that essentially was my job, because I was vlogging it.
That's incredible.
And, you know, Harley gave us some bikes to do it on, and it was
cool.
I was like, oh my god, you know, this compared to what it feels like to take, like you say, a weekend off if you're doing hairdressing or something, completely different feeling. So I guess it depends on the job, doesn't it? And
yes,
I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think life's just too short to do anything other than what you love and enjoy. And it's just like my kind of, and there's been a lot of sacrifices for it, but kind of my kind of career has been one big journey towards just trying to enjoy my work every day. Speaking of enjoying your work every day, what if you want to drive a lorry? And you're right, let this lot can shut up now, because I want to hear about what I can get paid for driving a lorry and how I get into it. Tons and tons of interesting stuff out there. We've been on jobs boards. We've been kind of looking at salary ranges. We've been looking at kind of other jobs that you might be looking at doing. So, for example, Beth said she was 16 when she got into hairdressing and stuff. Like when I started presenting, I was 22, I think. Louise, I think similar kind of age for you, maybe a bit younger.
Yeah.
So obviously I was 22 several decades ago. But there's so many different jobs out there, and you might be looking at different career paths and thinking, hey, I want to be a teacher, or I want to be a paramedic, or I want to be a lorry driver, or I want to be an architect, or whatever it might be. And you're looking at lots of different things. So first off, let's start by talking about wages. And Beth, I know you've been looking at benefits and stuff that people can get with these jobs. I kind of roughly, with a little bit of research, found a broad salary range, roughly of 27,000 to 37,500. Now, this is from websites like Glassdoor, Indeed, Total Jobs, and it makes the average wage for an HGV driver in the UK £32,500, which isn't bad at all, to be fair.
That's good.
But what was interesting is the range is crazy. So at Tesco alone, according to Glassdoor, it can go from 27,000 to 45,000. And I spoke to Declan, who's been a lorry driver for 30-something years, maybe 40-odd years. And those videos are going to be out on the Road and Load channels very, very soon. And he kind of said, you can, if you're a specialist and you get all the kind of requisite licenses to drive different types of trucks and pass different safety tests and stuff, you can make north of 50 grand a year. There's very few professions, I think, where to the outside world it looks like you're doing the same thing, where there's such a big range in what you can earn. And I found that very interesting. Beth, did you find like kind of there's interesting benefits as well, aren't there, that people can get?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, when I was doing a bit of research, I found some other companies and it come up with their price ranges. And I think also like post COVID and whatnot, the prices have gone up so much. And there was an article actually from The Sun, and some lorry drivers were being paid 70k plus.
Wow.
Because there was just no other drivers. So shall I go through some of the other benefits that I found?
Well, can I just say very quickly, actually, one of the reasons behind that is because post-COVID and post-Brexit, this is what Declan told me, a lot of the guys from Romania and Poland and Eastern Europe and stuff went home. Yeah. Because it was harder for them to work here now. And he said like a lot of his pals who were from Eastern Europe left basically what they were doing in the UK. But that means there's a bit of a shortage in the UK, so it's potentially quite a good time to be getting into the industry. Beth, hit us with the bennies.
Definitely. Well, yeah. I mean, actually, one of the biggest benefits is job security, because there is such a high demand, like of being a driver now. You're never gonna have to worry like, oh, when's the next job gonna come in or anything like that. And that's if you're self-employed or with a company, like you will 100% find work, which is like a massive one, isn't it? And so, I mean, that's obviously to do with money because you're working, you're earning. But one of the best bonuses I found, and this has actually made me think, do I want to be a lorry driver?
Watch your space.
I sense a new Instagram account coming.
Here we go.
Not to go with the Viking.
We're going to get followed at the end of this. We're like, oh, there she is.
So there was this one company that's offering 5k just to join their company. Just to say, yeah, I'll work for you. They're going to say, here's £5,000 for doing that. And then when you continue to work for them, they'll then continue to give you bonuses just for staying with that company.
Wow.
Maybe they're really horrible to their staff.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I know it's awful, but I'll give you another grand if you want to stick around.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Please stay. Don't give a bad review.
Yeah, literally, it means they can just treat their staff like however they want.
You got 5
wow! What a benefit that is.
That is wicked.
Yeah, and that did make me think that's never going to happen if you're self-employed, is it? I mean, unless you decide to just take 5k out of your savings and give it to yourself, doesn't really work the same, does it?
Out of the old tax bill account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, is what it is.
So that was like the biggest sort of head turner for me that made me think, oh, that's a really good benefit. And it would appear that lots of other companies do this. I saw another one, I think it was for Tesco actually, and a lot of the supermarkets, because they're the ones that are struggling a lot, even now, to get food to their stores, and they're offering people like £1,000 or £2,000 bonuses for working for them.
Wow. I suppose in the grand scheme of things, for a company of that size, that's not a lot of money. But to us, that is a lot of money to be given to normal people. And also, one of the things I found out was that Eddie Stobart, for example, this is something that Declan told me, Eddie Stobart, the trucking company everybody knows, will offer you a comprehensive training package when you join. So you can join being a novice and they will train you and teach you how to drive. So they will teach you how to get into the career and then employ you.
That's funny you say that, actually, because I literally have that written down here. That was another one that popped up, and it come up with all the different prices that they can give people and whatnot. And because I was thinking, I guess that's one thing, is you've got to pay for your training. And then I found out certain companies like that one, they will actually pay for you to do your full training. But even if you don't find a company that will pay for it for you, the government have grants and they will literally pay for it. So either way, you're highly likely to be able to do your training for free, which is amazing.
You don't get to do that many other places. And certainly when you're learning to do what we do and you want to learn how to use a camera and edit and get all the software and stuff.
Your time and your money and everything.
Cost you money.
Yeah. A lot of money.
Louise, what did you find kind of in regards to other jobs?
Yeah, so I was kind of having a look just to see what salaries were like for sort of, so you might be 18 thinking, you know, I just want to get into a job right now and go into something, just move out of home, or you've just graduated and you're looking to kind of go into the next step. So I was having a look. So a teacher starting salary, which I've always been quite interested to see what is, it is actually 25 grand a year, well over 25,700 around that kind of salary a year, which was quite interesting because, and that's the starting salary. It goes up to sort of like, I think it's going to go up to 30 grand in the new year towards 2023 to 2024. So it's going to actually, the government are pushing it up. So
that doesn't feel like loads of money though, given how expensive everything is these days. Like 25 grand is probably what 15 grand was 5 or 6 years ago.
That's
it's not a lot of money.
I know. And I think when you think, I've noticed that when I was looking at these, a lot of them were saying like, but if you live in London, you get this. So it's kind of the cost of where you live as well. I think it's relevant. So I think some of these are higher and lower depending on where you live. Because in London, it's normally a bit higher.
This is an interesting thing. You get into a lot of things. Like, so London waiting, right? So I live in London. And you get something called London waiting, which means roughly you get paid about 10% more in most jobs in London. Now that's fine. Now I travel all over the UK for work. I would say the cost of living in London is 40% higher.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to food, rent in particular, anything. So like I know, for example, for the rent that myself and my partner pay for our 1-bedroom flat, that would get you a 5-bed detached in Yorkshire with a like massive garden, driveway, posh private estate, all of that stuff. We probably still have a couple £100 left over. It's not even comparable because people always say, "Oh, you get paid a bit more money." It's like, yeah, but trust me, like, and this is one of the things that I think so like fascinating or appealing about lorry driving. If you're a long distance driver in particular, you could go, well, and you're young, you think, okay, well, I don't have a family. You go, well, I'm just going to base myself in Liverpool or Newcastle or wherever, like somewhere that's cheaper to live and fantastic, by the way, and still be able to get that money, and kind of that money will go a lot further, I think.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you have to weigh it up, don't you? Because I mean, like, I think I'm the same as you. My job, we kind of go all over, don't we? Like with everything. And I've noticed that when I've gone to, I do a lot of presenting in Manchester, and you know, and like even like I've even looked at places in Manchester and how much it is, and it's exactly
me too. I torture myself with that same right moves.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love, guys. I love looking at properties. I just get excited. But it does break my heart when I kind of look at what I'm paying now and what if I bought like a flat, well not bought, but like rent a flat in Manchester. It's like it's crazy how much you get more. So yeah, so you kind of have to weigh things up because I feel like in London, traveling everywhere as well. Just on the tube sometimes. I know you can claim it back, but still it's just kind of like it's coming out your pocket all the time.
It really brought it home for me. I was working in Liverpool a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I walked past a sign outside a pub and my favourite lager was on draft there and it's £3.50 a pint.
Oh,
£7 in my local.
Oh.
£7. I was like, I'm staying here.
Yeah,
That's all I want anyway.
literally. I know it's heartbreaking. It's because you tap your card, you're like, that's gonna kill me later.
Yeah,
That's gonna be bad.
the
Guys,
Monzo alerts.
there is a deal breaker for me.
Mm.
I've got to stay in the south because as soon as you head up north, and by the way, I even call the Midlands the north because it's raining there, it's more cold there. I'm not moving.
You're having none of it. You're like, I'm done. It's out for me.
How far south are you? But you're like in the Caribbean or something. It's not...
As south as you can go, yeah.
South Pole.
So Louise, did anything else jump out at you, kind of options that people might have?
Yeah, so I was kind of, because I remember when I first started, like when I was presenting and I wasn't earning from presenting, but I also, this was a kind of networking opportunity for me. And also, like, it was a good way to kind of like, I don't know, earn a bit of money as well. And that was like doing promotional work. So
I knew you were going to say promo work.
Yeah, promo. Yeah, it's because it's 0 hour. But it was for a radio station. So it was for a commercial radio station. And
What
it was
station?
good. Can we say? I think we can say. Can we? So it's all right. So it was Captain FM in South Wales, which was great. So because I was based in Cardiff at the time, and that's where I was like cutting my teeth and presenting. And it was great because it actually led to me getting a producer role at Captain South Wales, and I was like helping out. And I also started to pilot for a presenting job with them. But that's just before they decided to just broadcast from London and not have the regional shows apart from like 2 shows, you know, the drive time and breakfast. But that job led me into something else. So I think like sometimes like these jobs at 0 hour kind of that you can network in actually get you somewhere else. So I think sometimes if you don't know what you want to do, but you think, I want to try this out, you never know how it's. I mean, I know what I wanted to do, so I was kind of quite driven, being like, well, I need to get to know this person and this person and this person. But I feel like it's quite a flexible job, and I think the opening salary ranges from 20k to 27,000 a year, which for a flyer and promo job I thought was actually quite good.
That's not bad.
It definitely wasn't the case when I did that, but it seems to have gone up. But yeah, I think that's like a really nice job to do, and it can be quite fun because it's very sociable.
I once worked with somebody who did a promotional job, and she said it was basically her and a whole load of other promo people in Birmingham on Friday and Saturday nights for a well-known condom manufacturer. And what she had to do was she would dress as a condom. I'm not joking. She's dressed as a condom, and she would have to go into nightclubs in Birmingham to say to all the drunk young people, I know you're having a nice time, and if you meet someone romantically, just be safe and give them a condom.
No!
And she was like, I used to get like people used to really rinse me and like take photos. I was like, well, obviously, you're dressed as a condom.
If you're dressed as a condom, it isn't good. It's not good. Like, so guys, go for the radio stations. Don't go for the don't go for like Durex.
And do stay safe.
And that's the podcast now.
So Beth, like based on kind of what you've discovered, do you think a career in lorry driving could be for you?
I mean, do you know what, Joe? You never know. Those bonuses really got my head turning. It definitely made me think about things. But actually, one of the really cool things I found out today that I think could be a game changer for people considering is you can get your HGV license in under 2 months.
Wow.
So you can literally know nothing and then learn it all in under 2 months, have it all paid for, and then be out there on the road, living the dream, earning your dollar and driving around and having a great time.
And worth saying as well, you only have to be 18, by the way. If you're 18 and you've got a full UK driving licence, then you've passed the safety tests. That's it. You can start. So you can do it straight out of sixth form or college or whatever. Louise, we're going to see you behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler soon.
Can we just remember my truck simulator moment?
I can't forget.
So I'm going to go with no, because I feel like that would happen in real life. And look, we can't be having that on the roads. No, in terms of like I know I was bad. But no, in terms of like the benefits and wages, I think it's really cool. I think I really like, I think Beth, you found out last time and you were seeing how like the YouTubers were vlogging and things like that and people kind of like taking their life on the road. And I quite like that side of it and like, you know, bringing people in and along the go and kind of having fun with it. I think that would be something I'd like to do in the industry. If I did do it, I think I'd like to bring people into the lifestyle with me and the wacky kind of life. So yeah, I think I could give it a go. I just need to get better at parking a
truck simulator. Yeah.
It's practice.
I
What
quite
about
like
you, Joe?
Yeah, I quite like the idea of like long distance driving and kind of getting through tons of interesting audio books and podcasts and like this fantastic podcast, for example, and things like that.
Here we go.
I also quite like the idea of kind of, we talked about a little bit about tramping and kind of the idea of sleeping like in your cab in like the Lake District and stuff and waking up and it's just fields and lakes and sky, and like I think that sounds pretty cool, and these like the benefits and stuff are there, and it sounds like if you work hard and you kind of take the extra qualifications, then the earning potential's there as well. But do let us know what you think. If you think it's the career for you, if you don't, let us know why or why not. If you have any questions, pop it in the comments below, or get in touch on social media, however you choose, really. Right, we will see you next time. Thank you very much, Louise.
Thank you. It's been good fun.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you, guys. See you on the next one.
See you later.
See ya. I know, we're all like that.
Oh dear. Awesome. That was good. That was so fun.